Hello, and welcome back to Honey and the Glow. This is where inner nourishment meets outer radiance. I'm your host, Jazzy, and today we're going to talk a little bit about quantum physics. The intention of this podcast episode is for people who are on the fence about manifestation and the law of attraction. Because look, I get it. It all sounds too good to be true. It sounds frou-frou and too miraculous. So maybe you've heard some of the quantum physics theories thrown around in conversation when it comes to manifestation. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the age-old question. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it actually make a sound? At face value, it seems like such a silly question. Of course, the tree makes a sound. People don't have to be there just for trees to make sounds or for nature to nature. But when we look a little bit deeper at the nature of reality, it actually does beg the question. Maybe the tree doesn't exist unless there's someone there to see it. In physics, there's an idea of wave-particle theory. Stay with me. The idea is that all light and all electrons, all teeny tiny particles, behave like both waves and particles. So what does that mean? Essentially, all of the little building blocks of our material world, the things that we can see, feel, and touch, they actually start out existing as only potential. When we think of waves, we think of things that we can't really feel with our hands. Lights, sound, even if you bring it back to your middle school science classes, the infrared waves or the ultraviolet waves. These aren't things that we can grab with our hands, right? But these particles that make up these waves, that make up light, that make up sound, are the same particles that make up physical matter, like this chair, like my hand, like your phone. So scientists conducted an experiment. What they did was they shot little electrons. And if you think back to your science class, what are electrons? They're the building blocks of atoms. And atoms are the building blocks of all of our material world. So they shot these little electrons through a screen with two slits in it. And they noticed that when they just let the electrons shoot through the screen without observing which slit it went through, the electrons acted like a wave, something that you can't physically touch, something you can't physically grab, light or sound, right? But when the observers, the scientists, when they observed which slit the electron was going through, all of a sudden, the electrons behaved like particles like matter, like things you can see, feel, and touch. So what does that prove? It proves that electrons and other really tiny building blocks of the universe can exist as both waves and matter. Okay, how does that relate to manifestation, the law of attraction, reality creation, mindset? It holds a strong foundational idea that all things exist as potential, that maybe matter isn't as solid as we like to believe, that maybe matter, the material world, the things that we can see, touch, feel, start off as something like potential. They start off as waves before forming into something that you can reach out and touch. Accepting this idea can honestly be a really different paradigm for a lot of people. We have been told that everything that is physical has just always been that way, that matter can't be created or destroyed. And this is true. The same being with light particles. They can't be created or destroyed. They can only be transformed into something else. The same way that water can be a liquid, a solid, or a gas. It just transforms. So if we take this in more of an esoteric, spiritual principle, then we can start to ponder the idea that maybe our reality isn't so solid. Maybe it's not so logical after all. Maybe there are multiple realities that exist in potential, and we have to observe them in our mind to make them into real, solid experiences. And even if we get really practical for a second and we start to think really logically, almost everything that you have created for your life right now started as an idea. started as potential, and slowly you were able to move into a reality where you have the job, you have the relationship, you're in the school that you wanted to be in. But all of that first started as a potential idea. So what's the point of sharing this paradigm? What's the point of thinking about wave particle theory as it relates to your life and maybe creating a life that you love more than the life that you're living now? Can we really draw the big conclusion that the double slit experiment automatically means that we can manifest whatever it is that we want? Maybe not. But here's the catch. It's up to you to experiment. It's up to you to try it out. And there have probably been times that you've actually tried it out without realizing what you were doing. Think about a time where maybe you hadn't heard a song in a really long time, and once you started thinking of it, all of a sudden you hear it playing at the grocery store and someone is playing it on the radio, and now you just can't stop noticing this song. Or maybe you're thinking about getting a dog, a specific breed of dog, and you think it's a really rare dog, and all of a sudden you start seeing this dog pop up everywhere on your Instagram feed, at the mall. I don't know why the dog would be at the mall, outside on a walk, and all of a sudden your brain is picking up on all this stimuli that it felt like before never really existed, but all of a sudden it's in your face and it's everywhere. There's also neuroscience principles that support this idea in kind of a different way. There's a part of our brain called the reticular activating system that essentially looks for evidence of things that you believe to be true, or things that kind of pop up into your mind. Our brain is constantly taking in lots and lots of stimuli and really only filtering what our conscious minds think is necessary for survival. However, we're kind of evolved to a point in life where survival isn't running from wolves and staying warm in the middle of the night. But our body doesn't necessarily know that. And there's actually a lot more stimuli for us to filter through. So when it comes to trying to create the reality of your dreams from a neuroscience perspective, it does take conscious rewiring of your mind and your thoughts to refocus on what is important. If success is something that's really important to you and you believe that you can have it, all of a sudden, your brain is going to start filtering different things. And if you're coming from a failure mindset, you're going to start to see opportunities in a new way. You're probably going to start to take accountability for your life in a new way as well. So whether you want to dive down the quantum physics rabbit hole or you want to stay more grounded in neuroscience, either way, there is evidence to support the idea that rewiring your thoughts and what you perceive and what your mind is focused on all of a sudden becomes much more apparent in your physical reality. And if you're new to this paradigm, you may not even realize the ways that you've been unconsciously buying into ideas that maybe aren't serving you. Ideas that have been passed down from generation to generation around money, around what's important in life, around what's possible in life. And this isn't to blame you, and this isn't to get you down about yourself. This is to help you realize that you actually have a lot more agency than maybe you realize. Your thoughts are the key to creating a big, beautiful life that you love. And it sounds simple and it sounds crazy, because if it was that easy, why isn't everyone doing it? I implore you to look at your biggest role models, whether they be star athletes, talented musicians, artists, extremely successful business people, and listen to them in interviews. Listen to them talk about their life before they made it and their outlook and their mindset. They may or may not be conscious of the neuroscience or the quantum physics behind how they got to where they got to. They might know, they might not. But one thing always holds true. You'll hear these people say, I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. I just knew I was going to make it happen. I knew I was this person. And there's nothing stopping you from just making that decision. I think the challenge that a lot of people face is we are inundated with so much information and so many ideas that we rarely make time to actually think about which ideas we want to be true for us. There are a lot of things that we just kind of accept as fact, whether it's because we've seen it so many times in the media, in our lives, in our friends' lives, in our families' lives, or just because of experiences that we ourselves have had, and we just really believe that this idea has to be true because I experienced it and I lived it. But some of these ideas are preventing you from getting into the relationship that you want to be in. They're preventing you from making the money that you want to be making. They're preventing you from just feeling more confident about yourself in your day-to-day life. I want you to start paying attention to the people around you, or the people maybe on TV or wherever that you feel like, oh, these people are just really, really lucky. Like, life just works in their favor. Oftentimes the people who are creating a lot of luck aren't trapped in a cycle of overthinking and rationalizing. They tend to be more in flow state, and maybe they come up with these ideas that they act on, or maybe they just have this idea about how life is for them, and so life just moves easily for them. Oftentimes it's the really smart, rational thinking people that struggle to break beyond their limits and expand in a way that feels meaningful for them in their life. And this is no shade to the people who are really lucky, but I understand the challenge that comes with overthinking, where it feels like you need to know how something is going to happen, why something is going to happen. You always need a reason behind it. That's the point of this video. The point of this video is to show you there is scientific evidence that supports the idea that your thoughts create your reality. You can change those thoughts, that you have the power to redirect your mind and steer your life in a completely new direction. So how can you test this for yourself? How can you test this for yourself right now? The first thing that you can do is just start to take stock of what you're thinking about through the day. In the beginning of this journey, you're going to realize how unconscious you were of the thoughts that you were thinking. When I first did kind of an audit on my internal monologue, I was really mean to myself. I would call myself names. I would criticize myself. I didn't have a lot of grace for myself. And at that time of life, I kind of went through almost a regular cycle of depressive states where it was just really hard to get out of bed for days or a week at a time. And of course, because I didn't even realize that I was bullying myself every single day. Just bringing awareness to how I was speaking to myself internally shifted a lot. It shifted a lot. And it put me on a journey of trying to redirect those thoughts and changing how I think about myself. And it also helped me to realize that all of the criticism I was putting on myself, I was also putting on other people. So a lot of times if you're really critical of other people, a lot of that criticism actually is about yourself. And the same way where when you celebrate a lot of people, it's a little easier to celebrate yourself too. So it's time to take stock of where are you at mindset-wise? Where are your thoughts directing you? And then it's time to take back the reins. It's time to take back the reins of your mind and of your thoughts. And it is absolutely possible to do this. In the beginning, it may feel like an uphill battle. It may not. I don't want to put that thought onto you. I don't want to project that thought onto you. If it does feel difficult, a few things to remember. One, persistence is key. Whether you are aware of it or not, it took persistence to get your thoughts to where they are today. Either it was external persistence, it was messages from your family, it was messages from the media, it was messages from advertisements, it was messages from your teachers at school that were telling you something that keeps you in an unhappy state. Whether it's money doesn't grow on trees, or life is all about hard work and there's only one way, one path to success. Whether it is all men are trash, all of these beliefs, like a lot of them, they just go unchecked. They go unchecked. So take an audit of these beliefs and think to yourself, do I want this to be true in my life? Because while I'm over here saying all men are trash, Becky over here is having a beautiful relationship. Do you know what I mean? Becky believes in love. Becky believes that the right person will do the right things for her. And maybe it's just a question of confidence and self-esteem and how you present yourself. If your internal monologue is telling you that you're not good enough, that you aren't beautiful enough, you're not smart enough, you're not confident enough, it's time to take an audit of those beliefs and start to challenge them. Because the truth is, all of these beliefs are only half-truths. You can choose whatever you want. You can choose whatever you want. There are so many women who, even if they didn't have the quote-unquote look or appearance of a beautiful person according to norms, they thought they were beautiful and they broke those beauty standards. Like Eartha Kitt, for example. For her time, she didn't have the features that were, widely accepted as beautiful or sexy. Eartha Kitt did not care, okay? Eartha Kitt knew. She told herself that I am a beautiful woman. I am fabulous. And I mean. Do you know what I mean? Okay? It's okay to lie to yourself at first. It's okay. It's okay to lie to yourself. Okay? I'm giving you permission to lie to yourself. Up here, right? Don't tell lies out loud. Don't tell lies out loud. Lie to yourself up here until you start to really believe it, until you can start to believe that maybe, just maybe, this can be true for me. Sometimes we just need the permission. Here's your permission. It's okay, lie to yourself. I do deserve the relationship of my dreams. I do deserve more money. I am worthy of more money. I am actually in the most beautiful phase of my life. I'm trusting that. And this is the part where the quantum physics and the neuroscience comes into play, because in your immediate reality, you might not see anything change. You're telling yourself you're so beautiful, but you go to the mirror and you feel like you still look the same. This is where the persistence has to come in, where you have to really drill in these new thoughts. You have to really drill in these new ideas into your mind, and slowly, or all at once, you will see a shift in your external reality. So I don't want you to say, well, I thought a couple thoughts and nothing changed. No, this is real work. This is real work. This is not something you do for a couple of weeks and that you stop, okay? This message came to you and it's a signal that, like, this is a lifestyle change. This is a new paradigm on reality. The work never stops because your thoughts never stop creating, okay? And if you would like to just test it, just to build the faith, test it with something that doesn't feel so out of this world, right? Like, if this is a completely new concept to you and you think that, and you're still doubting, okay? Let me just say that. If you're still doubting and you're like, I don't know if this is true, just test it. Test it with something that'll happen in a way that feels pretty natural to you. Maybe it's a free cup of coffee. Maybe it's seeing a certain color car. Maybe it's just having something lucky happen to you. Just test it. Play in your mind a scenario that you want to come true. Or go all in. But the only thing is, if you're going all in, you've got to commit. You got to commit and see it through until it happens. And you will be amazed. You will be mind blown at what happens and what unfolds and how it unfolds. And just get really curious about the nature of reality. The fact that you're still listening means that you're open to the idea that maybe the nature of reality isn't as solid as you once thought, as all of us once thought. Maybe there is something to reality creation. I empathize with the cringiness and how ungrounded sometimes the spirituality narratives can be, and how they just seem so far-fetched, right? And a lot of times the messages are pretty unclear. And I have empathy for that, and I can understand that. And people come to their understandings in their own ways. And, what works for someone is not going to work for everyone. But what I think is important for people who are just like a little bit open, at least 10% open to the idea that they can create and manifest, what's important to realize is, like, there is a little bit of science behind this. There is. And maybe it's not direct science that, if you drink a cup of water under the full moon with the stars shining this way, that you'll win $1 million in the lottery. They just haven't done the study yet. All jokes aside, the real science is going to be up to you. You're going to be the scientist here. You're going to be the person that needs to test this before you really believe anything. You need to test this. You need to put it to work and see for yourself if it's real or not. Who cares what some girl on YouTube has to say? Go test it for yourself. Be consistent. Go all in. You have to saturate your mind. This is real work. This is not writing something down on a piece of paper and putting it under your pillow and hoping for it to come true. No, this is real work of rewiring your neural pathways. This is changing your thoughts, changing your ideas, changing your perception on the world as we see it. So with that being said, you know what to do next. Test it out. You really have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Just be curious, be open. And if you see something miraculous happen, come back and comment on this video. I want to hear your stories. Okay, until next time.